The best part about this, there we go. Welcome everybody. And we're just gonna start the webinar. And this is the 5 secrets or the 5 biggest mistakes that real estate agents make and how to avoid them. Because these are the things after coaching agents that I started to notice patterns on. And I want to make sure that you know, hey there, Barb, good to see you. Hey, Doreen, good to see you too. Yay. All right. Now we got a party. Now we got our party girls on. Hello, everybody. So, and these are the patterns that I've started seeing repeated over and over again. And if you can get these particular mistakes rightened up from where you are, it's going to be so impactful for your business. Now, a lot of you I've worked with individually and close proximity. So some of these things might be a little bit of a, hey, Jeanette, good to see you. So some of these things are going to be repeated. And so if that is you, then you know what? Repetition is the best way to learn. So congratulations for getting to hear it a second time. Let's go ahead and do this. So here we are at the webinar. These are the 5 biggest mistakes that agents are making out there in the real estate market. And this is some ways to avoid them. And my goal at the end of this is to help you avoid the pitfalls of new agents. And if you are unsure at all of a way to proceed after this webinar, I'm going to let you know, everybody who is here walks away with 1 ticket for a free training that I will tell you about a little bit later. I'll give you details about that on the end and how to get involved with that. All right, so the 5 biggest mistakes that agents make, and here's how to avoid them. Now, when we cover the 5 biggest mistakes about running a sustainable real estate business in today's market, no doubt that you guys have heard a lot of fake news about COVID. You have heard myths and exaggerations about get the vaccine, don't get the vaccine, wear the mask. No, the mask doesn't help. The mask depletes oxygen, but the doctors wear, all these conflicting things. And you know what? You hear the same stuff about real estate on the news. The housing bubble's gonna crash. Prices are too high. Don't buy. Now's the time to buy. So if you are basing your business on fiction, you're not going to be able to build a sustainable business. So I want to help dispel the myths and open your eyes up to a lot of the things that many people don't see because they're blinded by the news and all of the drama that is out there. And I also want you to participate. So get that chat screen up, and I'm going to be calling out to you to enter in things that may apply to you too. And again, if you're out there on Facebook in Facebook world, I want you to jump over to Zoom, catzoom.com, passcode Rockstar, and join us here live so that you can get the full experience. So I'll leave the Facebook stream up for another 5 minutes, but then I'm going to take down because I want you to be interactive in here. And I want to make sure that everybody who's in the Zoom room is getting this personalized experience, because when you're here, we're intimate, we can see each other, and super impactful like this when we can connect. So get that chat screen up, and I want you to, everybody right now, type in, where are you calling in from? Are you in, I know I got 2 of my neighbors right here. I got Doreen and Barb, who are actually in the same town, the same town, Ruskin, Florida-ish. Ruskin, Apollo Beach, they're like little neighbors of each other. So we're over in Florida. Where's everybody else from? Montreal, Canada. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Venice. I keep thinking, Doreen, that you're my neighbor a little bit further north, but you're down in Venice. Awesome. We got Los Angeles, LA, awesome, Atlanta. Okay, Jeanette, you're up in Atlanta this week. Hey. Yeah, Ruskin in Mexico. Awesome. Marcos, I'm so glad that you are here. Okay. Oh, you know what? Let me open up the window so everybody can see. All right, cool. So hello, everybody. And yeah, so we started talking about the 5 mistakes, and so let's get right into this. Now, before we do, at the very end, I am going to show you my recession-proof, detailed, step-by-step lead generation map and how you can actually get involved in this. And right now, the pieces on there are blurry on purpose because I don't want to give away the secrets too early. So this is not a sales pitch. There is actually nothing to buy here. I am going to give you a way to get more free training if you would like to do that on the other side. So put your credit cards away and you couldn't spend any money even if you wanted to. Now, don't be this guy. The only thing I ask for you while you're on this webinar is to not have undivided attention and be doing different stuff. Don't be that guy who's on the phone ignoring his kids or hanging out with his friends, but really just on the phone, right? Blinders. And take notes. I know a lot of you guys have been to some of my events before and have watched webinars. I know we've got a couple of repeat offenders here, and I'm very glad to have you guys back. Take notes, because even if you hear something that you've heard before, because time has passed, you have grown as a person, you are going to hear it differently. And because when you engage through the chat screen, even though it's a virtual event, you're saying to your own neurology, you say, yes, this stuff is important and I'm going to make this happen. So please, if you have any thoughts, I know when I get into Zoom rooms, I'm like, chat, 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 chat. So feel free to blow up the chat however you want to engage. And I'm going to be also calling out to you. All right, so don't be this guy. Be this guy with the googly eyes. Now, this is a free training. This is going to be about 60 minutes. I'm going to wrap it up by 2:45 today. And let's get started. And one last call, if you are on Facebook and you would like to join us for the training, we are about to get started. So jump on to Zoom. If you are watching this in replay format, do #replay. Drop it down in the comments below. Okay, so I am going to stop the stream. Let me figure out how to stop live stream. Okay, I think we are still good to go. Can I have some, well, when I was going to say pop over to Facebook and see if it has stopped, because I just want to check the automation, but I think if I clicked stop share, I think it has stopped. Okay, yep, okay, I think we're good. All right, let's get started and talk about some things. I hope it's okay if I share my personal story. It really makes everything make sense, because I know a lot of you have heard this story before. So I'm actually known as the lead. A lot of agents call me the lead generation coach, because I was speaking at events, and this is actually a photo from one of the events, one of the speeches I gave. And I got a chance to spend time with Robert Kiyosaki, who is actually one of Donald Trump's best friends. Or I don't know about best, they're buds. And I don't even care how you feel about Donald Trump running the country and the political, because that's a whole nother thing. But when we're talking about business, we're talking about images, this guy, there's no denying he knows business. There's no denying that Donald Trump knows real estate. So when these two huge real estate moguls get together, yeah, I want to be around. I want to listen to that kind of conversation. So I'm offering all of this to you today because over the past 7 years working in real estate, I have done a lot of things, and you're going to see a little bit about my story in the coming one. And when I show you these patterns, these are not just some that I've made up, but these are the things that I have dealt with. These are the things that I've seen a lot of other people deal with to try to overcome these obstacles. I mean, and I grew up in a typical American family up in Virginia. I grew up in Mechanicsville, Virginia. It's just north of Richmond. And I hope you don't mind me going into detail about this, because I have played into somebody else's story, played out the plan that my parents had for me. And I thought that's what we were to do as children. So my mom was a nurse. My dad was a mortgage broker, and my parents told me that they would support me in whatever I did. And they did. They also said, study hard so that you can get a good education and get good grades. And, you know, that was the archetype I was given as handed down from my parents. So I went to school. I got a music degree because that was more fun. And I actually got a job at an elementary school. This is the Camelot Dragon. And there's me, here's my classes. I remember the very first time I ever got a paycheck, it was for $2,000, $2,000. And first time getting a real paycheck for doing the same things that I'd always done, like going to college. I just went to classes and came back and did work, and I never got paid for it. Suddenly, when I was the teacher, I got to go to school and get paid for it. I thought I was going to be rich. $2,000 a month. Man, I lived on way less than that. Well, I went ahead and paid my rent, $1,200, and then $300 to the car, groceries, and then I was down to about $300. I had $300 left for the rest of the month. That was when my bubble burst. And that very first month that I was a teacher, I remember one of the veteran teachers, Carol Strickland, she sat me, I think I was asking her for advice or something. She sat me down and said, Kat, get out of teaching. Get out of teaching. She says, don't spend the next 30 years of your life in this job. And of course, I'm 22 years old hearing this, and I'm thinking, I just spent 5 years getting certified, licensed, and all of these things. So, but you know, that advice that she gave me always rang in my ears. So after 5 years of doing that, I was fed up and done with being broke in Virginia on a teacher's salary. So I asked everyone I knew how to get out of the teaching, because I said, you know what? I want to go abroad. I bet I could do this overseas. So I asked everybody. Thanks, Kevin. So I asked everybody I knew. I ended up finding my way over to Syria, and I started a music department over there, and then had to leave the country, and I ended up in Dubai. This picture was taken on the very last day I was a teacher. So who is Kat Rich? Now, for those 5 years that I was in Virginia, and then another 3 years I was in Dubai, I was quote unquote successful. I had that dream job, a steady salary. You know, I lived overseas. I got to do a lot of cool stuff. I was the role model to my siblings, but that was really just that was me living somebody else's life. That wasn't my life. I mean, I liked the music part, but I felt trapped. You know, I was being asked to do all of this extra stuff. You know, I'm cultivating confidence in children, teaching them music, but I'm only getting paid $30,000 a year, and I'm living in Dubai, which was just cool, but I was trapped, really. It was enough money to survive, but not enough money to thrive. I ended up discovering the power of real estate while I was in Dubai. Did a lot of cycling, which was really cool. Excuse me, I've got this cold, I'm coming over. And I actually ended up meeting a cyclist called Eirik. And he told me a story about an apartment he bought up in Norway. And he said, oh, I bought an apartment. I was like, oh, okay, you leaving Dubai? He said, no, I just bought it for investment. I'm like, what? I don't know why you would do that. A month later, 2 months later or something, he said, hey, do you remember that apartment I bought? I was like, yeah, are you going to move there now? He said, no, I bought some furniture for it. I'm thinking, what is going on? Why would he I was like, so is your mother going to live there? Is your sister's going to live there? He said, no, just for investment. And I'm like, why would you spend $2,000 on furniture for an apartment that you're not going to? I was like, my mindset was, that's just wasting money. Again, another couple of months passed, and he said, hey, do you remember that apartment I was telling you about? And I said, yeah. He's like, well, I sold it. And I'm like, what is going on? It's been 4 months. You bought it, bought furniture for it. That's a ton of money. and then you sold it. So was, then he said, well, you know what, let's do some figure. He said, I sold it for a profit. Like, what is going on? He did like Norwegian kroner early payoff, did some calculations to US dollars. He told me it was $83,000 he made. $83,000. And my brain could not handle that because I was making $30,000 at the time as my salary. So I'm like, okay, how do I do this? What books have you read? What training have you had? And he's like, okay, start with this book, The Intelligent Investor. And if any of you guys have tried to read this book, it's not an easy read. But anyway, it's a fantastic book. And yeah, Laura, wow, 83, that's like almost 3 times my salary. So from there, I left teaching. I pretty much turned in my badge and I bought my own investment property, ran out of money. I hired a business coach. He said, you know what, that thing you're doing with your own property, do it for other people. And I said, oh, that's a good idea. I had no email database, no speaking skills at the time, no social media following, no marketing skills. We're going to talk about my other full-time job in just a second. Had no sales skills and no coaching skills. Now, the other full-time job I had, sorry, go back. With starting the property management company, so 3 years was what I did. So the first year was pretty much like zero, just trying to get my feet under me. And then the first year I did it, I was able to make 60K. And then the second year I did it, I made 150K. Now these are gross. And now here's my other full-time job, is that because I had been in Dubai, I was cycling a lot. People had seen me and they drafted me to join on a cycling team. So this was a big part. I keep talking about cycling, even though it's not real estate related, because it is a big part of my life and what I went through. At the same time as I was starting this business, I was also training full-time as a cyclist. So, and I tell you all of this story because even if you've got a full-time job doing something else, you can still build a business. You can still do it. But I also want to talk about the support system that it takes in life, and not just in business, in life. And this is my support system. This is my family. And I don't say this lightly, that my parents have always supported and believed in me. Even when they don't see the vision that I see for going into real estate or going overseas, starting a business. Not everybody has been on board with the idea, but they trusted in me. They believed in me. And when you are doing new stuff like this, your support system matters, which is why it's so important for you to be in the community that supports you, who believes in you, who is going to be there with you. Because in adversity, when you're doing new stuff, this is when you find out where your real friends are. Because when you're successful and everything's going well, you've got tons of friends. But when things are tough and you need help and you are in a place of taking more than you can give at the moment, that's when you find out who your true people are. For some people, it's family. For some people, it's friends. But these guys are my family. And now we've got little ones. My brother has started having babies. He's got 3 little babies who are actually at the house right now. You might hear them crying later. But these little kids, these are my whys. And so I tell you all of this because I want to let you know that you're in the right place. Okay, this is your family. This is the community that's going to support you. Laura, I saw your question. Did it make a difference that your father was a mortgage broker? I wish I could say that it did. He never talked about work. He pretty much had the idea that, hey, it's too boring. I don't want to tell you all about it. So I actually had no idea what a mortgage broker was until later. That's a good question. So I want to ask you, why do you want to be an agent? Why do you want to be in real estate? because your why is going to be the thing that gets you over the tough stuff. Is going to be your drive to move forward. I want you guys to type in the screen right now. How many of you guys want to impact more lives? If you want to impact lives, can you write down impact? Impact in the chat screen. Light it up. If you want to impact lives, let me see it. Yes, yes, yes. Awesome. Laura, Joel. Yeah, perfect. Marcos, love it. So I want to ask you, because I know that most agents start in one place and are going somewhere else. Now, this is a journey. So I want you to think inside your mind, what is your 6-month plan? You know you want to be an agent. Where are you now? And where do you want to go? Because we always need a crystal clear vision of where we want to be in 6 months' time. And the outcome of this masterclass, this webinar, is to move you 1 or 2 steps closer to closing that gap, maybe even 5 steps with 5 mistakes. So I want you to think about, what is that goal? So it is July, almost July now. So by December, where do you want to be? What is your goal? What is that right there? And where are you now? And how far, what do you need to do to get there? Because we need to know the reality of the situation where we are right now. So are you on 0 closings? Are you on 2 closings? 10 closings? And there's going to be all different types of people in this training today who are on different levels. And your why is going to be the thing that gets you from here to there. So do you want to build a sustainable business so that you can impact more lives? You've lit up the chat screen with yes. And let's go ahead and talk about why so many agents end up being confused, overwhelmed, and just lost in the thick of it all. Because I'm going to encourage you right now to type a big fat yes into the chat screen if you want to build a sustainable real estate business so that once you learn it, you can automate it. Type in yes down in the bottom. Type in yes in the chat screen. Yes, 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 yes. Light it up. Awesome. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so the system we're going to talk about is going to be something that once you learn the process, we're going to talk about chunking it out and then leveraging it out so it becomes an automated, sustainable, generating continuous system. So how many, there we go. Because fake news about marketing, about lead generation, about real estate market, about real estate, all of this is like just, there's so much fake, there's so much confusion out there. So the first one, and many of you have heard me talk about this before, that it's all about the leads. And this is your first mistake, thinking that it's all about the leads. Because when I first moved back to the States and I started in real estate, I joined a real estate company. It was the one that my sister-in-law was in. They said, call your sphere, market yourself, give out pop buys, send cards each day, send out the letters. So I thought, okay, I need to get leads. So I kept getting more certifications and more certifications. And I thought, well, if I get more certifications, people will want to work with me. So I got certified in new construction. So I had all of this knowledge, but I didn't have any people. That was the big curtain that I was living behind. I did all sorts of postcards and mail outs. I was even doing signs on the side of the road. How many of you guys have ever seen these? Have you guys seen these? Give me 2 thumbs up in the yes, right? Yeah, I was one of those people. So I was like, it works. I've heard people do this. Let's make it happen. And so I got out there and I was putting up signs, and I got mostly angry calls. So I ended up switching over. I worked with some home buyer guys who were doing tons of marketing, who had so many leads coming in. They just needed somebody to help call through them. And so I was like, perfect. They're going to give me leads. I'm going to be super successful. This is the thing that I need. So I signed on with them. They promised they would teach me everything that I needed to know. They gave me tons of leads, but spoiler alert, they did not teach me everything I needed to know. I had great conversations. I made great friends. I was connecting with people, but I still couldn't convert them into the clients. And so they ended up firing me. And I say, look, I am proof that it doesn't take extroversion. It doesn't take a personable person to be a good salesperson. It comes down to the skills. And I didn't have the skills. I had social skills, but I didn't have the next level. I didn't have sales skills. So the mistake is that it's all about the leads. It's not about the leads. It's about connecting to people, but not just connecting. It's about converting. That's the real secret. Hey, Efren, good to see you. What you really need is a whole complete sales cycle. So I did not realize this. And because I like cycling, everything relates to bikes if we can. So the first thing in the sales cycle is, number one, you get the people's information. It could be their name, their phone number, email address. Somehow you do something where you get their information. After you get it, so those are the leads, then you have to connect to them, discover where they are on their journey, place them along their path. After you connect to them, then you're going to convert them, and we help them move to the next step. What information do they need so they can take the next step? Once they do that, now we're in business. Once they're a client, we get in and we conduct the business. This is managing the transaction, okay? So after you've done the work, after you've gotten to the end of the cycle, now they are in your family. Let's celebrate them. Now let's do the pop buys. Now let's give them the Christmas ornaments. Now let's go over the top for our past clients so they refer us, so they can use us again. And, I want to tell you a quick story about Rose, because Rose actually came to me and she was on the verge of going back to her bartending job because she just didn't have belief in in herself as a real estate agent. So she was actually in a unique situation. She was getting a lot of leads from her brokerage. Her company was giving her a lot, but she didn't really know how to collect them and sort them and figure out how to talk to them. And so she actually she jumped on with me for the free training session, and we got crystal clear on where she was. We looked at where she wanted to go, and we looked at some of the challenges that were holding her back, talked about strategy, and then I gave her the tools for her to work with, and she and I practiced talking to people together. And at the end of that, she realized leads are not everything. They're just the tip of the iceberg. And she says, and we also talked about some emotional things too that she was dealing with. She said, overcoming personal stuff, creating your own balance between certainty and uncertainty, and her program works. Now, how cool is that to have just free training? She comes out of there and she's like, man, I have my life so much more sorted out. Think about the power of that, having your life sorted out, overcoming personal stuff that she was being held back by. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Second mistake, thinking that you're not motivated or that you're lazy. Now, some of you may have heard me talk about this before, but this is a super important part of the mindset of the mind when you are an agent. Okay, so this is when you are not motivated or you think that you're lazy. Number one, the cycle begins. I don't do anything. You sit there, you watch TV, or you're just not productive in whatever way. Then you feel guilty about it. Then you start doubting your ability. And after you're doubting yourself, you're like, wow, man, I'm just hopeless. I'm helpless. I don't know what to do. So you don't do anything. And then you feel guilty. And then you doubt yourself. And this is the procrastination cycle. So what we need to do is to break out of the cycle. And we're going to talk about some things to do. And this is important to know, is because when you beat yourself up about being lazy or unmotivated, you're treating the symptoms. You're getting upset at the symptoms rather than the cause. Hey, Jennifer, good to see you in. Now, we're going to talk about the actual causes of this, because this is going to be a different perspective than probably what you've heard before. Your brain is in survival mode when it is in this cycle. So what we need to do is to take it out of survival mode. And we're going to talk about a couple techniques to do with that. So just like you need to eat when you're hungry, or drinking when you're thirsty, or shivering when you're cold, this is the brain's way of feeding itself to fill its needs. The truth is that your life is out of balance. Okay, and here is what you're going to do to fix it. Because when your life is out of balance, you lack clarity on what you're supposed to do. You've got too much uncertainty in your life, and you probably have too many unmade decisions. So let's talk about how to fix that. Now, in life, we've got two levels, like we are on a balance, and one is way out of balance than the other. So if we're going to say certainty is low, and it's one with not enough in it, even though physics dictates other. That's what we're going to say. But certainty is too low. Your certainty is low. Your uncertainty is high, especially when you're starting a business. So what does that mean? Uncertainty means things that you're unsure about. With uncertainty, you've got a lot of overwhelm, procrastination, doubt, anxiety, and all of this produces inaction. So you don't know where your money's going to come from. You don't know when it's going to come. You don't know what you're supposed to do every day. You are getting so many different directions. So this is all of this uncertainty gets so high up, like the level of it is so high. Now, on the other side, your certainty, you're safe, predictable, settled. This is the stuff that you take for granted. Your routine gets minimized. So suddenly your certainty is very low and your uncertainty is really high. Now, when your gap between the two gets too big, this is where your brain starts craving more certainty, and it does things to bring up your certainty. So it brings them up, up, up. So this looks like cleaning your bathroom instead of lead generating. This looks like doing laundry instead of doing the things you need to do, going to get a snack, getting a glass of water. These are all the things that your brain is gravitating towards because it needs to know where is your foundations, what is your solid, what is the things you are certain about. Because with human needs, we do need some uncertainty, but we also need certainty. So when the gap is too big, your brain goes into survival mode to try to level it out and bring down the uncertainty, bring up the certainty. Because when you close the gap and you're actually more equal, what you'll find is that you've got more growth. You're able to take part in opportunity. You can take action. You can take a few more risks, try new things, and you can learn. And this is the importance of actually knowing what to do. So let's talk a little bit about how to create more certainty in your life of this uncertainty. Yeah, Jennifer. Yeah. You know what? When we start being a real estate agent, there's so much uncertainty. It's like this whole new field. And we're like, we have to cultivate this to keep the gap smaller so that we can move forward and our brains aren't in this freak out mode. So I want to introduce you. This is my friend Rachel. And she is super ultra organized. She does all sorts of post-it notes and colors and stuff like that. And so she has, I think she's got 6 kids. So she actually has done this with the clothes in their room. She's like, you wear this on Monday, you wear this on Tuesday, you wear this on Wednesday. So right now, I want you guys to, yeah, right? I want you guys to type in the chat, what are some things that you can do to create certainty in your life? So I've listed, for instance, you'll usually see me in a black shirt, or I have several, I have maybe like 5 different shirts I rotate in between. And clothing is not one of my varieties. It's not one of my uncertainties. I generally wear the same thing. I generally eat the same thing most days. I have a routine, I have a schedule. I have checklists to make sure I don't miss pieces. So these are some of the things that you could create in your life. But what are some of the things that I haven't put on the list? What pops into your mind when I say create certainty in your life? Laura, you said, do you mean things that'll move us forward in our business or just life in general? I mean just life in general. Life in general. You could do like some people maybe exercise at the same time every day. Call up a friend at this time every day. What are some of the things that you could think of to create certainty? Yeah, great, Dawn. Have daily time for family. Yeah, spend time with family daily. Yes, date nights. Absolutely. This could look like meal prepping on Sundays before the week. It could look like doing all of your laundry on Sunday and then picking out your clothes for the week. Yes, wake up and go to bed at the same time every day. Yep, absolutely. Those are very good ideas. And I think that it's important for us to also see what other people are thinking about. Yep, create a weekly meal plan. Yep, and house maintenance. Yeah, so all of these things, anything that you can do to stay rooted in things that, we'll say things you can control and you know the outcome of, because this is going to give you a lot more confidence to move forward. Is it something that should be done same time? It doesn't have to be done the same time. It really is subjective to what makes you feel solid, secure, and rooted. So it comes down to what works for you. Okay, awesome. Keep thinking of those. As you'll notice as time goes on, that the more you think about things to bring you certainty, the more ideas that'll come into your mind. So as you think about that, let that settle in. And I want to talk about mistake number 3, is that thinking that your real estate company is there for you. Now, if you look at the millions of agents in the United States, there are about 2 million people currently licensed. Now, the NAR, the National Association of Realtors, has released its numbers that 87% of agents fail within the first 5 years. The first 5 years. And I believe it only is 5 years and not 2, because after you get your first licensure, that's when they say, go ahead and get it licensed again. Go ahead and take your next course, so that they know that they've got you in for another 2 years. Because if you don't do that and you end up getting to the 2-year mark without having already done the recertification, you probably won't continue, and probably won't continue to pay their yearly fees, which they want you to pay their yearly fees. They want you to stay licensed. However, most of the time after 5 years, if you're not making any money, you're disenchanted, and a lot of agents will leave. So this many agents is 87%. The people that last longer than 5 years, this is out of 50 states, you end up with only 52 successful agents. So right now, I want you to say, that's not me. That's not me. I want you to write that in the chat. That's not me. The failure, I mean. Say, that's not me. I'm going to be successful, right? That's not me. Yeah, you are not the failure, because you are on this training. You're going to do it the right way. You are working with me. You're working with, some of you are working with Dan. And that is the power of having people on your side, because we're going to help you avoid a lot of these mistakes. Yes, awesome. The truth is that real estate companies are in the sales business. If you look at the money flow, here's your agent. Yay, you sold the home. Where does the money go? First to your brokerage, which takes a cut, and then it comes back to you. Where does your money go every month? So you're paying them. So for them, why do you think they wouldn't just rely on your commission? It's because they aren't super, they're not, they know that you probably won't succeed. You probably won't take the action to get the commission. So they have to have that safety of the monthly payment. So if you look at real estate companies, they are in the sales business. They call it hiring you, but actually you are hiring them when you sign on. I want to introduce you to somebody who I was working with. This is Pam. She was one of my former students who got 2 contracts her first week of working together. Now, Pamela was an agent for 4 years before we got together, and she was about to let her license lapse and not continue. She jumped onto my program because she was not getting any results with her brokerage, with her company. And when she came to me, we did this initial strategy session where we got crystal clear on where she wanted to go, clear on where she was. We looked at some of the challenges that she had and that were getting in the way of her with her strategy. And then I gave her some tools to work with, and she adapted it to her situation. And after the strategy session, after working with me, after working together, she was able to get 2 more clients by focusing on one specific strategy and getting really good at that one. And here's the thing with Pamela. I mean, she was super skeptical that it would even work for her because she had tried so many before with no luck. So we worked with what she could do and what she knew in order for her to move forward. So she said, I am excited and grateful to God to have you in my life. Yeah, so we got her on the right path and we were able to save her career. And Cindy was another one that I worked with, and she was one of my former students who got 3 closings because of this increase in confidence. Now, Cindy had been an agent for 6 months with 0 closings, and she had taken on a second part-time job because she wasn't getting any results with her brokerage. They gave her leads, but she didn't know what else to do with those leads, kind of like Rose earlier, that they were giving her leads, but she didn't know how to process them, talk to them, connect with them, how often, what does she say? So when Cindy came to me, we got crystal clear on where she was and where she wanted to go. We looked at some of the challenges that looked like they were getting in the way of her moving forward. We gave her some tools to work with, and she and I practiced talking to people. And after working together, she decided to jump onto the program, and she was able to get 3 closings a month while she was working another full-time job. And more important, even more than that, even more than the closings, she increased her confidence in talking to people and in herself by knowing what to say. How powerful, how cool would it be to just level up in confidence after a week, after a month, right? To notice that level up. And here's the thing with Cindy. She already had a mentor. She already had a mentor in her brokerage that was not really one-on-one with her, which was not giving her results. So when we got her one-on-one coaching, we helped her move forward. Her confidence just skyrocketed. How cool is that? That's really cool. Okay. The next biggest mistake that I see agents make is that they are always available. Sure, anytime, come on by, call me, 3 a.m., I'll answer. Listen, let me tell you something. You're not 7-Eleven. You don't need to be open all the time. Let's instead sit down and sketch out a plan of what you do want in business instead of just being servicing for everybody, because you are not a 7-Eleven. You need to create your specific business hours, because you are going to run yourself into the ground if you keep acting like a 7-Eleven. All right, let's get you crafted and on the right track. Whoop. When you're living at effect of other people's schedules who want to call you at 3 a.m. or who want to call you at 5 a.m. because they're up early worrying about something, you are going to be burning the candle from both ends if you are not. Yeah, awesome, Don. Awesome. If you are not crafting your life as you want it, because you're here, you are an agent because you want freedom. You want that independence. And people, here's the backwards thing. When you are a pleaser, when you, oh yes, I'll take your call, I'll take your call, people realize that they can do whatever they want with you. And people actually respect you more when they see that you have boundaries. You know what? It's 8 p.m. on a Friday night. I am on date night with my girl boyfriend. I can't take your call. You wouldn't say that, right? But this is your thought process when you're like, not going to take that call right now. This is outside of business hours. So let's talk about what would a functional schedule look like, right? Because before you can even start to plan this beautiful 7-course, 5-course meal, you need to know what are the dishes that you're going to cook in? What are the things you're going to serve in? You're going to need some pots and pans. You can't just have the food and have it appear and just float through the air, but you have to have buckets. You need to have things to serve it on. So this is what we're doing when we craft a schedule. We're giving, hey, this is the bowl for breakfast food. Hey, this is the plate for dinner food. We're not telling you what the food is. We're giving you the plate to put it on. So when we do this is just a default schedule, and you can craft it to your life. Start from somewhere and then modify it. Just like you're getting on a new pair of shoes or new pair of pants, you have to break them in, see what works, see what pockets you use a lot, and if you need to extend the pockets. Okay, so here is just a model schedule. Take a screenshot of this if you think this will help you, if you don't currently have something functional that you're working with right now. 9 to 11, you do some sort of lead generation. And a lot of you, I think, are on baby steps. So we could say 9:30 to 11. And then after that, you do new leads in the beginning, and then you do old leads. Now, when I say old, I mean it's people you've talked to more than once. So you do new lead generation, then you do follow-up on your leads. Then there's a space for admin, catching up on tying up loose ends here and there. And then I don't put lunch from 12 to 1 because statistically, there was one time I went back and I looked at 30,000 cold calls I had made, and I found that the percentage of answering went up between 12 and 1. So even though I've got admin here, if you wanted to call during that time, you might get a few more answers. Answering phones. So between 12 and 1. Yeah, and then between 1 and 2, it came back down. So that's a good time to do your lunch break, errands, and get to your first appointment. Now, I think 3 appointments is pretty extreme for a day. I think 2 appointments is a good one to shoot for. But, I just put that in there. An appointment could be having coffee with a vendor. It could be meeting up with your coach. Those could be your afternoon appointment slots. And then after that, you wrap up, finish up loose ends, and then you go home. So the benefits of daily habits is that it alleviates anxiety. You know exactly what you should be doing, so at least you can make the decision whether or not you do it rather than just having no decision, having no plan. They promote healthy habits, they combat burnout, and creating a routine doesn't happen all at once. It comes after time where you're working with it to see if it works and testing for that. So yeah, when you write a schedule, you don't have to stay with it the whole time. Adapt it to your life. This last one is being terrified of failure. Okay, now this is one that really surprised me. Is that this is probably a story that you've told yourself again and again, that when you were a kid and you were in school, you got an A+ on a test that you did. You came home, you said, hey, Mom and Dad, look at this A+ I did. They said, oh, this is fantastic. You're so smart. Hugs, and they gave you lots of love. So then you said, I'm smart. My parents love me. Therefore, I love me. Now, the next week, you're like, I'm so smart. I don't need to work so hard. You take another test. You end up with a C, and you didn't do as well, but you didn't do it 100% like last time, like a week ago, when your parents told you, hey, this is so fantastic. You are so smart. Now, this time, your parents say something to the effect of, oh, this isn't as good. You must not, they probably didn't say you're not as smart after all, but they probably also did not give you hugs. So then your 7-year-old brain said, I'm not smart and my parents love me less. Therefore, I love me less. Okay, reimagine the whole scene. You've come home from school and instead of, and then one tiny change, imagine saying, hey, you got an A+, that's amazing. You must have worked pretty hard. Imagine if your parents said that to you. Wow, you must have worked pretty, one tiny change. And now you think about what happens the next time you take a test and you come home with that 70%. When you have that 70%, you come home, you no longer think I am loved less. You now think, wow, I did not work hard enough at this. And if you think that that wording doesn't make a difference, I'm going to tell you a quick story that might make you think, realize how impactful it is on children. There was a researcher called Carol Dweck, and she repeated this study with hundreds and hundreds of students in elementary schools. Now, if students, it was just like a verbal pattern recognition type nonverbal IQ test. And her team did one of two things for half of the kids. For half of the kids, they said, wow, you got 8 right. That's a really good score. You must be smart. And they praised their kids for their ability, their innate ability. For the other kids, they said, wow, you got it right. That's a really good score. You must have worked really hard. So they praised the kids for their efforts. Now, the only difference between them was that one was praised on ability, one was praised on effort. So what happened next? Okay, they offered all of the kids a chance to complete a different challenging task that would teach them something new. 90% of the kids agree. The ability kids were not interested in doing a single thing that would make anyone question their ability. So they gave the kids the test, and all the kids, harder problems than the first set. When they were not, the first time the kids did the problems, all of the kids enjoyed the exercise, and the ability group though, did not do well on the second set of problems, and they did not like the work anymore. Because the ability kids realized or thought that failure meant they were deficient and unloved, whereas the effort kids didn't think they had any reflection on their intelligence. So the second round of problems, they didn't like the work anymore after not doing well on the difficult problems. And the effort kids, on the contrary, loved the harder problems. And they said that these were the most fun, even when they didn't get the right answers. So based on the results of the first set of problems though, the second set should have been a breeze. But because their intelligence had been called into question, they actually wound up doing worse than the effort kids. So one last little roundup on this study is that the researchers told the kids, hey, we are going to do this with other kids in other schools. Can you write a little letter and give them some advice? And there's a place for you to write your score as well. So they gave them a page where they could write down their thoughts and a space where they could write down their scores as well. The results was that 40% of the kids lied about their scores. 40%. We took ordinary children and turned them into liars simply by telling them that they were smart. The ability kids. So what we do not want to do is cultivate this fixed mindset of somebody who's afraid of failure, because what we want to focus on is your ability or your efforts that you're putting into this. And so most of us are terrified of failure because we've been trained to think that that's a reflection of our self-worth. And what you don't realize is that these women who you're, hold on a second, that all of this stuff is not even true. This is not even a factor into self-worth. So I want to tell you a few things. That if you have sucked at lead generation in the past, this is not your fault. If you're afraid that you'll never be successful in a real estate career, you can put those fears to rest. And brokerage companies, mentorships, they don't own you. Other lead subscription services, no, we're going to teach you how to do it yourself. And you have been wronged if you've gotten zero instruction on lead generation whatsoever. And today, it all ends. So actually, Chris was also another one I worked with who was about to leave real estate, and he got his plan in place. We worked together. He jumped on with me because he wasn't even sure what to do. He's not on Facebook, he's not on social media, he's not allowed to even have his phone with him at his job because he works on a military base. And so we worked together. We figured out, got a crystal clear plan on where he wanted to go, where he was now. We talked about a couple of obstacles that were standing in the way of his progress, and then we gave him some tools to work with, some strategies to talk to the people he was already in contact with. So at the end, when he jumped on with me, we were able to get his plan in place without social media and work his way. He said, Kat, you have helped me realize that I really need to have a strategy that works for me. So I want to bring you guys back, okay, back to the 5 mistakes, because number 1 mistake, it's not about the leads. It's not about being motivated or lazy. A mistake is that you're thinking that your real estate company is there to educate you. A mistake is being always available and being terrified of failure. So luckily, we talked about ways of fixing that. And I want to tell you that another way to fix it is to get involved and catapult your lead generation systems. Because what I'm going to show you is the recession-proof detailed lead generation map. Because if you can nail these 6 things and get your brand set, create content that people want to see, strategically connect to them, convert them to clients, conduct the transaction with your expertise, be known as the authority in your market, you're going to be able to automate each one of these things so that you no longer have to be the one generating business, doing all of these little activities and making these mistakes. So I want to ask you a question. Do you want to do this the hard way, where you've got 10,000 combinations that you could do? Because information, by the way, is free. It's online. If you want to learn something, you can look it up online. What you don't have available online is somebody to help you with your business. So I'm going to offer you the key. This is the easy way to figure out where you are and get you out of stuck and overwhelmed now to get you to your goal. So I want to ask you, what proven strategy will you use to close the gap? What is going to be your next step towards a sustainable business? I'm going to offer you that golden ticket. So people who want to make a change and get the combination right the first time, I have a 5-day Facebook lead challenge coming up in about 3 weeks that I want to get you on. There's going to be a VIP option so that you can actually get yourself the training that you need, get yourself individual attention. So right now, how many of you guys hold your phone up? I'll hold the phone up to the screen. Does everybody have a phone next to you? Awesome, awesome. I want you to text to this number right now. Text this number, 321-415-7594. and send a text message with the word challenge. Text the word challenge to 321-415-7594. And when you text it, you're going to have an automated response come back to you. Awesome. Okay, Doreen's in. She got it. Did you get the response? Who else got the response? Awesome. Dawn, Laura. Cool, cool. And I think you just, after you get the text message, Jeanette, you in? You respond with your name and your email address. And you are in. Okay, awesome. So I will drop that into the chat. And I want to ask you guys, before we wrap up, what are some of the takeaways that you had from the 5 mistakes? I want you to unmute yourself and let me know what was most impactful for you.
For me, the idea of when I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do and not realizing that it's because I'm trying to protect myself with doing just a lot of what's certain to me, because I don't want to do what's uncertain, and it just made it clear in my mind that when I see that I'm doing that, I just need to do what I'm not certain with, or start making those actions more certain, so that each day as I do them, they're now becoming a certain action instead of an uncertain. And then my balance of certain actions and uncertain actions starts coming closer together, more balanced. That's awesome. The way I understood it, the way that it made sense in my mind.
Awesome. Yes. Yes, Dawn, setting more boundaries. Yeah. I love that Jennifer said, thank you, I am not a 7-Eleven. Yes, I love that. I love that. Thank you so much, Laura, for sharing. What are some of the other takeaways? Somebody else unmute yourself and shout it out.
Hi.
Hey.
I was the same. The certainty versus the uncertainty stuck out to me, because I think this is why it's so important for me to follow a schedule, because when I'm not certain, or there's things that they're not getting done because of the uncertainty. Who's doing this? What are we having for dinner? Who's deciding what we're having for dinner? Who's going to the store to get the stuff? I mean, all these things, they build up, and then all of a sudden I have to take care of them because it hasn't been made certain who is doing what and when is what going to be happening, so that I can focus on my business and have peace, because I cannot function with all this uncertainty around me. So that's my takeaway, is to continue working on my planning and getting things in order, so that the things are more clear in every aspect, not just the business aspect, but in the home life as well. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing. Jennifer, that was wonderful. That was awesome. Jeanette.
Oh, hey. Well,
hey.
I feel the same way with Laura and Jennifer, is that the uncertain uncertainty is definitely in my world, because Kat, with the little bit that you and I know about each other, I'm pulled in so many different directions. And with working with my husband at home, and then doing the bookkeeping and accounting stuff for my son's construction business in Tampa, it's like I just get pulled in so many things. So that schedule is so important to me, for the certainty that at this hour from now on, this is what I'm going to do. And I need to learn to really stick to it and claim my time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing. Glad you're here. Glad you're here.
Well, thanks.
Good to see you again.
Kat, can I share again?
Yes, please.
The idea of how I will change how I talk to myself regarding, I think I'm pretty good at knowing, because I have a relationship with the Lord. I have a pretty good feeling of how He speaks to me. And I try to have that same agreement with Him on a regular basis. But there's times when I still feel guilty that I'm not doing what I should be doing. And that whole thing about the effort of me telling myself,
Mhm.
you're going to eliminate the guilt if you put the effort in. If you put the effort in, not because I don't know how to do it, it's just I need to learn how to do it so that I don't feel guilty about not doing it. So
Right.
that really
Yes.
stuck in my mind also when you
Mhm.
separated it that way.
Right, right, right. Awesome. Great share. Great share. Did anybody else have? Go ahead, Doreen.
Yeah. This is huge. An aha moment that we actually touched on this yesterday, but it kind of just sunk in right now, listening to it again. And I have this huge fear of failure. Huge. It is paralyzing. And I was that child my whole entire life. I was always, always praised on ability, 100%, whether it was school, outside of school, work, home. I was never, ever praised on effort by anybody. So it's paralyzed me to become successful in all areas of my life. So you stop trying because you don't want to be seen as a failure. So you don't even try. So happy to be here. So we can get over that humongous fear of failure, because I can't. Failure is not an option no more. I can't fail. And I need you guys. I need you guys to get me past that. So this is a yay moment.
Awesome. How many of you guys also felt like you were praised on ability? Let me see a show of hands. How many of you guys were praised on ability? Yeah. Yeah, it's not your fault. It's not your fault, because when we are 0 years old to 7 years old, we don't have that critical faculty to have a filter on us to figure out what's information that we want. You know, we're like wet butter, like warm butter when people are talking to us as children, because we're so impressionable.
I have to ask Jeanette. Was it Jeanette that talked about religion?
Laura.
Laura. So what? Oh, she's okay. So is it Doreen?
Doreen, yeah.
Yeah, of what she said, and then the other gal. What
Laura.
Jennifer.
religion can I ask that you were brought up on?
Oh, me?
Yeah,
First was Catholicism, and now I'm a Christian.
yeah. See that? So between Catholicism, because I don't know about what age you're on, but pretty much it was all guilt and fear, because you were raised more of God was a powerful God, and you had to do right because he was a punishing God. And then
Yeah, I don't.
I always felt like I didn't do well enough. Everything had to be good and perfect, and I wasn't. You were praised when you did well, and you had to do it right, but I always felt like I wasn't ever good enough. So between those two dynamics, yeah. So now I'm Christian as well, and I've learned that God is actually a loving God.
Mhm.
Exactly. And so but it does impact, like you said, yeah, and that we are good enough. I mean, we just give it our effort, and you know what I mean. So it is very impactful what you've said, Kat. We have to let that go.
Right on.
I didn't say it, but you guys have said it very well. But
Yeah,
I'm right there with you.
And actually with you, Barbara, that the effort and the ability is it, like you're saying, with our God, who is a loving God and all forgiving. And that's the thing about Christianity, is with our effort, God doesn't condemn us for trying.
Right.
We are judged for not trying.
Right. But back then it was like, I had a very, very old school priest that we went to church with. And yeah, it was like, you have to do this or you're going to be punished,
So I love that you
that
guys
was
are.
what the commandments were. Yeah. Anyway,
relating to the, yeah, it's awesome. Thank you guys for bringing that, because you're right. I see the delineation between Catholicism and the, interesting how that all comes together.
yeah.
Does anybody else
Not
have a,
everybody was probably that way, or maybe, but that's the way it was in our church.
anybody else I haven't heard them? Ephraim, you had your hands up.
Hi, Kat.
Hey there.
So I was raising my hand. I'm sorry when you had asked if we've some of us have been judged based on ability and
Yes.
being an athlete all my life to the point of playing Division I college baseball. When the wheels fell, when the body gave out, the self-worth and the doubts became, so that kind of thing always like kind of plagued me as a performer, and especially in this production-based business, is that if I'm not able to go ahead and produce the numbers, yeah, the self-worth is definitely put to question because of that, because I was always judged based on stats, based on performance and things like such. So it can be debilitating in terms of feeling good about going back out there and playing the field.
Yes. Yes. So thank you so much for sharing. And thank you everybody for joining today. Is there any last thoughts? I know, Kevin, we've talked before, and Joel, did you have anything that you wanted to join in? Add?
Don't know how to unmute myself.
There you go.
No, it was all good. I related to the being terrified of failure and the certainty and uncertainty issues for sure. So, good stuff.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. All right, we are 2 minutes before our end time. I just want to say thank you guys all for coming. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to do another webinar. It's the 3 secrets of real estate success next Wednesday. Same place, same time. A little bit different content. Maybe it's same at the beginning and the end, but obviously I'm still the same person. My story is going to be the same. So yeah, come and join me next Wednesday, Cat Zoom, Rockstar, and I will see you guys back then. Good, Jennifer, excellent. And again, if you guys have not sent your text message to this phone number, do that now and get yourself registered and get some free training. Whoops, I did not mean to click that. Yeah, get yourself some free training with this, so you can get you some free leads from Facebook. We'll teach you how to do that. Kevin, I saw you came back on. Did you have anything to add? Oh. See you talking. Okay.
So Kat, you'll be sending out reminders?
Yeah, I need to get the back end registration, but yes, I will have reminders coming out. July 18th is going to be the date of the training. Okay. I will. Thank you guys, everybody, for coming. See you later. Have a
Bye.
good one.
Thank you.